everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Thursday, April 15th, 2021. Hope you have a good evening and a good day today as we continue through our work week. One more day to go, folks. Then we hit the cold weekend, I guess. Cold weather sticking around here, but hey, that's better than snow. I know some people did see snow yesterday, but hey, we'll take whatever we can get. So just think about it. We were all upset when it was 0 or under 32 degrees. Now it's just getting down to 30. So it's not bad. Could be worse. Maybe I'm just defending my own self on how I feel about the weather right now, but besides the point. Hey, we got a busy show for you coming up here today. We'll get you the latest headlines in just a minute. We are going to talk about the road construction today. We'll get our update with Andrew McFadden from our Public Works Department. He'll give you the latest on the projects happening in and around the city. Plus, we'll check in with Hy-Vee. Andrea Miller is here talking about plant-based diet, and she'll debunk some of the things that you may be thinking right now about a plant-based diet. And I'm a big meat eater guy, but I could even get into doing this, but I think on the conversation we had about this, the one is thinking that the meat is more of the side dish. That is my tease, as I could tease for you. All right, let's jump into this. We've had some questions come in about where you can find more information on the Fish Hatchery Road construction project, and we want to make sure that we share this. We'll talk about it in our interview coming up, but do want to talk about it here in the headlines. You can stay up to date with the project's website. This is on our city's website, fitchburgwi.gov. If you just go under Departments, Public Works, and then Engineering, you'll see all of the projects labeled out here, and you can click on the Fish Hatchery Road construction. It's marked with a C. And you can find all the updates, the maps, everything that goes into this project and is happening. It's all right there on the website. And by the way, all the updates that we talk about here on TF get posted up there as well. So everything you need to know, a one-stop shop, if you will, is located there on the website. Again, fitchburgwi.gov, where you can find the latest information. All right, Pancake Breakfast Plus is coming up, a fundraiser for the Fitchburg Senior Center Friends Group this year. Will be happening, but it's going to be happening at the Hy-Vee Grill. Yeah, if you want to stop in for this great event, you can come out. For the annual Pancake Breakfast fundraiser. It'll be held at Hy-Vee all day from 7 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. All you have to do is mention Fitchburg Senior Center Friends and or when you dine, and you'll the profits from your dinner, 10% of them will benefit the Fitchburg Senior Center. And guess what? You don't just have to buy pancakes. You can buy lunch and dinner, or you could eat like there 3 times for the day. Maybe Andrew, will you take me there 3 times so we can eat for the day? I'm guessing with that laugh, he's saying no. That's all right. All right. Today, we had the tornado drill, statewide tornado drills today, but still a good chance to talk about tornado safety. Here in Wisconsin, most tornadoes are rated in the lower section, meaning EF0 to EF2. And you can see on the ratings there, it's based on the winds from these storms. So anywhere from 85 miles per hour up to 135 miles per hour. It doesn't mean that an F5 tornado can't hit Wisconsin. It has happened. And it will happen again someday. There is no doubt about that. And then as far as tornado safety goes, we got some safety info for you here as well. You can definitely want to take cover in the lowest part of your basement when you do hear a tornado warning. Make sure that you stay away from any windows. Be in the center of your building. Put your shoes and boots on if you can. Get under a table. Cover yourself with pillows, blankets. Put a helmet on, but make sure you practice that plan and know where you need to go when you head out for or take cover for a storm. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we open up the digest where we're talking about your Fitchburg road construction update. Next, right here on Talking Fitchburg.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. Ready! That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu. And especially this year, no one has time to get sick. Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the engineering department or public works department or whatever they do up there. No, I know they do a lot of great things up there. We've got Andrew McFadden back on the show. Andrew, thanks for taking the time out. I know you guys are busy up there, but we continue our weekly road construction updates. How you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, I'm happy to be back and happy to talk some construction. I know a lot of people don't like construction, but me and my son, we're big construction likers. So we'll talk about a couple of different projects today. But first, we'll start with our main one, Fish Hatchery Road. If you haven't been through there, well, there's been a shift. Andrew, tell us what happened earlier this week.
Yeah, so I think Tuesday morning we switched over. So all the traffic now is going on the western lanes or kind of the southbound lanes. So we have both a southbound and northbound lane and a left turn lane in some places. So you'll definitely notice it if you drive it. Please, go slow and and be safe as you go into the construction zone. There were a few kind of tweaks along with that, as we kind of mentioned last time. Some of the bus stops got moved. The one at Cahill, Maine is no longer being maintained. At different, like Breckenridge Court, you'll notice some different changes, and we'll kind of be going through kind of sub stages throughout stage E, just kind of keeping access open, at least in one place for all the development there. And so this new configuration will be in place through July, and we'll kind of periodically check in if we know of any changes in that schedule. But I would definitely think that this is going to be going on for the next 2 months or so, at least. So I think that's definitely the big news there. And then we'll be having some signal work north of Traceway. Kind of wrapping up, and then at Traceway itself over the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of the other thing, kind of north of Traceway, but certainly south of Traceway. I think the big work is, working on those northbound lanes. We're going to be pulling that up, getting the utility working next week and the next several weeks, and then patching that road back up.
As far as access for those folks that are in the construction zone, if you will, you still have access to get into your homes. I know, and I'm trying to think, is that Breckenridge, the main apartment building on the one side past the DNR? I'm drawing a blank on the name of that road. I was trying to look that up fast while you were talking. But for folks that do have to cross the construction to get into their homes and stuff, will there be any shutdowns along the way where construction crews will have to go through eventually and bring that road up to par, if you will?
Yeah, certainly. So there will be definitely some staging there. Access will certainly be open throughout the construction, but it might be changing. And certainly, that's kind of one of the things. It's hard to, we'll definitely, right before we make any of those shifts, we'll be talking with you about it. But I think the biggest resource out there is really checking out the Fish Hatchery Road website, kind of understanding what that staging is going to look like, and kind of through that some sort of sub staging. I think you're talking about Breckenridge Court and kind of.
I am now. I just finally found it. It
Yep.
is Breckenridge Court there. That you said you got to kind of cross the road there to get through the construction, but
right. So that's still open, but it's a little bit trickier to get out of there for sure. So but as you noted, as we kind of shift back and forth, we'll have to we'll be tweaking that closure a little bit. So there'll still be local access certainly, but it might look different week to week or month to month. And so certainly just making a plug in for I can quickly share my screen. I think this is probably the best. So the website, I know there's a lot of information up here, but it is helpful, I think, it's kind of a one-stop shop. So we sometimes update this top part, but really where you'll see the updates is right in here, these weekly updates we do every week to let folks know kind of what's changing in the next 2 weeks. And then we also have a lot of these construction plans down here, which kind of show you some of the what the full plan looks like, but also some of those detour plans for bikes, for some of the substaging, to keep some of those individual accesses open. So if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. But I think this is there's a lot of great resources here. So if you have a chance, please check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, all your plans are there, your maps are there, contact information is there, and then all the updates that are going on as well. We do it weekly here for Talking Fitchburg, but you're in between. If you don't catch it, this is the place to be, definitely. And this is basically what we review each week, Andrew, when we talk
Yep.
with you, as we're talking about the information coming from here. So, great update on that front. Let's talk about a couple of other projects going on. We had a closer that just started on Clayton Road. What are they doing for that project?
Yeah, there's some utility work going on right now. And then we'll also kind of, along with this project, we'll be closing off that crossing of the railroad coming up this year, and then doing some repaving. So yeah, look for definitely work kind of closed to through traffic for for the next couple of months while we work on that.
And then
Sure.
switching over, one project we talked about earlier this year is kicking off, and that's the East Sherrill work. That's going to be starting next week. What is happening in that area?
Yeah, so we talked about that a few weeks ago, and we had a little bit of delay, but now we're getting going on that. So it's a resurfacing project for kind of the length of their kind of that western portion of East Sherrill from Fish Hatchery Road, kind of through Agora, and I think stopping off at Fay Fields or Fay Glens, and then. And then in addition, we're doing some bump outs directly adjacent to kind of Fitchburg Center, Agora at Woods Hollow. So there's kind of two stages in there. Woods Hollow will be shut down for a little bit, and we'll kind of be, that won't be next week, but it will happen sometime in the next 2 months. And so we'll definitely be keeping folks posted on when that will be shut down. And the reroute is to take Research Park Drive instead. So this is kind of a local, it's kind of a smaller closure, but certainly something to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to keep everybody up to date on any of the closures, so you kind of know what's going around with construction here. So be on the lookout for those projects. Andrew, overall, again, just to pump that website one more time, if people want to learn about any of the projects that you're working on, specifically the website, when you got to go to the Public Works Department, but once you get to the Public Works site, where do they go to find about different projects going on?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, once you're at the Public Works, if you look at engineering construction, that's going to be where you'll see kind of these larger, capital works projects. And we have, a lot of, the projects under construction, sometimes you'll see different projects kind of maybe named the same. So Fish Hatchery Road, for example. So we have the design, Mark D, we have the construction, Mark C. So you'll see most of the ongoing work in that construction page. But yeah, so feel free, and please let us know if there's any projects that you don't see up there that you're interested in. We like to update that as much as we can with our schedules being as tight as they are. So yeah, but yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of the main page, and I think I could show it real fast if that would help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
We got the time here, Andrew.
Okay.
We want to make sure people do have a chance to know where you can find this information.
Sweet. Yeah, so yeah, around the Public Works page, if you scroll down to engineering construction, so that's the primary page here, and you'll see, what I was referencing, the Fish Hatchery Road construction versus design. So we have some current projects. The ones with hyperlinks can bring you to the page. Another way to access that is up here. You can see some of the other sub pages here as well. So, and in this case, Fish Hatchery Road, and this brings us back to the page I was referencing earlier. So. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, hey, I think we picked your brain enough for today. We'll look forward to having you back on the show next week and continuing to get folks updated with that construction. So, Andrew, always a pleasure. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week.
Jeremy, have a good one.
You as well. All right, we'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg. Perfect. I see my wires hanging out there. Smooth. All right, Andrew, that's pretty
Sweet.
darn good right there.
Is that 6 minutes? I know.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Well, welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joined today from Hy-Vee, our dietitian, Andrea Miller. Andrea, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
Glad you're here today, and we're going to be talking, as produce in the background gives the hint, we're talking about plant-based eating, which I know nothing about, not that I'm an expert in anything, but this one I certainly am looking forward to learning about. And you're tying this into Earth Day, or Earth Month, if you will, and boy, I don't even know where you start with this one when we're even considering going to this. So the transition, I guess, could be the first place to look at. So does it mean I'm going vegan if I'm going plant-based?
Yeah, so let's start with that because that's usually a common question that people have. This is kind of a buzzword out there in terms of diets and products. You'll see that stated a lot more on food products. So that's something to consider. So let's talk about what it is so you have a better understanding. We'll kind of start with that. So vegan is its own thing, meaning consuming no animal products at all. And then there's various versions of being vegetarian. So there could be where you eat everything except for animal foods, or you exclude all animal foods, but you eat eggs, or you exclude animal foods, but you consume dairy. So there's various versions of being a vegetarian. So plant-based eating is more of a style or a way of eating. And to be honest, we probably will have a more difficult time thinking about a style or a way of eating because our society likes to put rules onto things, and it likes to create diets out of things that really are just a way of eating. And so it's something to remember that plant-based eating is more of a style. There's no rigid rules or regulations that go with plant-based eating. But on the foundation, what it does include is a majority of your food that you're eating coming from plants. So if we look at, our My Plate, most of the food groups include foods from plants. So fruits, vegetables, grains, and plant-based proteins. So that's a really good start in that regard. It does not exclude animal foods or dairy. So we consume both animal foods, and it can include eggs and dairy in moderate amounts.
Well, that's good because I'm thinking I don't know how you would totally dive in head first into this. So
right.
I like that you set the standard there, that there's no boundaries to plant-based eating.
Right.
And I'm suspecting that if you're thinking, you want to include more plant-based items in your diet, this is the route you can look at. So if we're looking into this space here and you're lucky enough to share some info with me ahead of time here, because again, not too familiar on how to make this work, but how much meat plus dairy do you need I guess even if you're considering going to this, looking at this diet?
Well, that's a really good question to consider. The kind of general answer is meat foods or foods that come from animals or dairy foods are highly nutrient dense. So what that means is you get a lot of nutrition from a small amount of that food. So with that, the proteins are also very quality proteins. So any animal protein is considered a quality protein. And so it's complete. And so you don't need to kind of combine foods in order to get all of the amino acids, for instance, that we need from protein. And so we don't have to eat as much of it as we think we do in order to get the nutrition from it. So for instance, we could easily get all the nutrition that's in meat from a 3-ounce portion. Right? So we don't have to eat, a half a pound of meat in order to get the protein, vitamin D, iron, and all the other vitamins and minerals that come from meat. Same thing with dairy. We need about 2 to 3 servings of dairy a day. So that's a 1 cup equivalent of milk, and then 1.5 ounces of cheese is considered a serving, and a cup of yogurt. So 2 to 3 of those servings each day to get the concentrated nutrition that's in dairy foods. So that's kind of a reminder. And the interesting thing is this isn't anything new, so the whole kind of term of plant-based eating is kind of resurfacing or surfacing. But if you look at the food groups all within themselves, it's already kind of designed to eat this way. It's just, again, more of a general framework versus having you follow a specific rigid rules and guidelines.
Yeah, that's good information to know. And, that to me right there just breaks down a huge barrier of even trying to wrap your head around trying this out. When we first talking about this topic, this next question is exactly what I was thinking. And it's what is the plant-based meat alternative products? Because I feel like if you're talking about plant-based eating, that's what we're hearing, or it's to me anyway, seems to be the most attention is, getting the unnamed, I guess you could say the unnamed meat product. And I like how this is shaped in here. If it literally is shaped like a chicken nugget, is it okay to eat? You're saying throw all that out of the way and just look at the ingredients. Right.
That's, yes. I really wanted to talk about this piece of it because the marketing world is grabbing onto this term plant-based eating. So I don't want people to feel, one, that they have to buy alternative foods if they're going to eat the real thing. Okay, so it's just kind of looking at more amount or quantity. And also don't necessarily think it's a nutritious product simply because it says plant-based eating. So any of these alternative foods, you want to look at the ingredients. And for instance, if it is a alternative burger and it has black beans or chickpeas and ground up vegetables and different things and spices and seasonings in it, that might be a nice option. You're getting a naturally sourced kind of plant-based protein there with some little different flavor. So it doesn't mean you're never going to eat a hamburger again, but instead of eating that, 3 to 4 times a week, maybe one of those days you insert, this black bean burger. Rather, if it's instead more of a compilation of different flours and fillers and things like that, that's not going to be any more nutritious, if at all nutritious, compared to eating the real thing in a moderate amount to give you the nutrition that your body needs.
Well, that answers my question on that one, because I've tried some of these and some of them are really good and some of them are really bad. And then you compare them up against just, the regular meats. And you're right, that does call into question, so I'm glad you spelled that out. Another good question that would also come to mind for me as well. And it's because we've talked about dieting like the Mediterranean diet or some of these things that have similarities, but how would you compare the plant-based eating to like a Mediterranean diet?
Sure. So you can kind of compare and contrast this one. So the Mediterranean diet is an example of plant-based eating. So you can look at it that way. The differences though is the Mediterranean diet is based off of foods that are local to the countries that border the Mediterranean Sea. So it's literally based on those foods that are in that region. So for us in the middle of the US, right, there's a little bit difference.
Not as many choices, right? Or different choices, different choices.
So there's different choices. We might not have some of those foods that are specifically noted on the Mediterranean diet in abundance, in the Midwest. They may be highly expensive because of transport from those regions. So again, I encourage people to kind of take a step back, and the foundation of the Mediterranean diet is plant-based eating. They balance it, their fruits and vegetables, whole grains. They incorporate a moderate amount of meat and dairy. And so that's something to consider, is think of what the diet is made up of versus feeling like you have to specifically follow each, detailed line on that diet. So again, Mediterranean style of eating or the Mediterranean diet is an example of plant-based eating.
Well, you're giving us some options to work with here. And that would take you to a question of mine would be, if you are just looking to just a starting spot, or even trying to get maybe your kids to get involved with this, what would be some quick, fast, plant-based items that you would introduce for the kiddos to try to bring them on board if you're going to also as a parent go through the motions?
Sure. So ideally, you're eating about the same things, right? And maybe the amounts vary or the textures might vary compared to what you're eating versus your kids or other members of your family are eating. So that's the first thing to remember. The first kind of look at it, I would say, is try to add some color. If you try to add a color to a meal, you're almost inevitably going to be adding some sort of fruit or vegetable or plant-based, ingredient or food. So that would be my first recommendation is when looking at the plate, think of, are 3/4 of the foods coming from plants. So some people do well with that kind of percentage idea, whereas 1/4 of it is coming from animal-based, or 60-40 or 70-30, whatever makes sense to you. And think of it as majority coming from plants, and then thinking of meat as an accessory rather than, okay, we've planned our meat. Now, what else might we have, as a garnish? So,
oh my gosh, that is exactly, you hit it on that. That's exactly the way I plan it. Whoops.
So thinking of it more as perhaps you start thinking of the meat as a garnish, just to kind of in your mind, kind of resituate the thoughts of the meal planning piece of it. But adding color is a good way to start. That'll start you get you going in the right direction.
I love it. That right there. Oh my, you almost hit it on the head here at the Crosby household. So another way of looking at it, the garnish of the meat. Whew, that's a hard one to buy, especially here in Wisconsin. I'm just saying. But Andrea, thank you so much. This is great information. And if people want to learn more, you've got ways of helping people out given COVID. We're still in it, still trying to protect ourselves. But for people that want to find more information or even take a virtual tour, what do you got for them?
Yeah, so go ahead and connect to the links that's given to you to contact me. You can contact me directly and I'll send you the registration link. We regularly, and we will do this, moving forward, regardless of the current situation, we'll offer these virtual services. One of the virtual store tours we have is on plant-based eating. So helping break that down a little bit and then talking specifically about what to look for in the store.
Yeah, everybody's looking for these hot diets and fancy new things, but funny when you really break it down, how it's something you've already been doing a lot of the time, and it's just rethinking and reshaping what you're doing. So thank you so much. Great topic, and we'll look forward to checking back in with you next month for some more. We're getting warmer out, so I feel like you've already started to set us up for some really good summertime meals. So very excited for that. Andrea, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, Andrea Miller, Hy-Vee. Check out the website, and locally here, she serves all of the stores here in Dane County. I almost said Fitchburg. All the stores in Fitchburg, the one in Fitchburg, but all of them here. And we appreciate her time every time she stops in. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us.
Ready!
That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu. And especially this year, no one has time to get sick. Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, wrapping up the show for today. I want to thank Andrea Miller from Hy-Vee and, of course, Andrew McFadden from the City of Fitchburg Engineering Department on our road construction update. Remember to stay connected with ACT TV through all of our great outlets, and have a great night.